I knew I wasn't happy. I knew something was wrong.
I hate to use the term downward spiral because it's so cliche, but that's totally what it was.
It got to the point where I actually, something hit me and I realized this isn't just going to go away by itself.
When people think of mental illness, they always think of, the most extreme behaviors out there. They think of, people thrashing about at nothing or trying to, bust out of their straitjackets, or, in the case of depression, they immediately think of suicide. And I think what people don't realize is that these views, they're not just outdated. They represent a very small fraction of what people with mental illness actually go through.
It's hard for people to accept the fact that mental illness is so prevalent because it's something that you would never wish upon anyone, and, thank God I don't have that.
Every organ in the body can get sick. The brain is the most complicated part of your body. It runs on a lot of different chemicals, and so when things start to misfire, it's just not working right.
No one would know that I have schizophrenia unless I told them. It's like a very real chemical high, and you're in this state of transcendence. And, it's terrifying as anything. You start hearing things, seeing things. At the time you don't think they're not there, you think they really are there, and that you're special enough to see all this, hear all this. And so I think that's what kept it going for so long. An unwillingness to get out of this self-perpetuating narcissism I was trapped in.
My mood started to decline, and I started sleeping more. And so then I kind of fell into like the first bout of depression, and you kind of lose the ability to enjoy the things that you used to enjoy. And so your friends are having fun, and you're either faking it or you're just kind of quiet. It's just like a disorder that feeds on itself. I look into the future and I think I'm always going to feel like this. And why would I want to pursue life if I just feel like this all the time? And for me, what became the scariest part of it was suicidal ideation. So like, it's where you don't harm yourself, but you start to obsess with it. And it's just because, like, for me, it was like a control issue. Like, I couldn't control my mood, and I couldn't get out of it, but one way out would be to kill myself. So it was almost like this fantasy, like, I can do it. Whenever I want, I can do it.
The trick with anorexia is that you think you're really happy when you're not eating and you're losing weight. It was hard for me to accept because it was embarrassing. I would just get so depressed, and my friends had no idea how to handle that. And so instead of rallying around me, they just kind of left me alone and just hoped I would get better, but while avoiding me. And that was really hard for me because I always just thought all I need is my friends, and then when I needed them most, they weren't there for me.
College was very stressful. It helped and didn't. Friends helped me, that's for sure. But at the same time, grades were starting to slip.
People don't want to hear that, you have all these problems and, you go see a therapist every week, and, that's not necessarily something that you want to be friends with. So it was really hard to meet new people that I felt like I could open up to, because you know that you're going to be judged for it.
Being on a college campus can be really isolating, and the stress of classes and having to show up can really exacerbate the problem. And sorry. Each disorder has its own stigma, you know, like schizophrenia, people are often like afraid. With depression and anxiety, it's a skepticism that you have to deal with. Things like depression, people just think that you're having a bad day or that you're being lazy, you know. I have a friend who actually just recently told me, like, I was in the car with him and we were talking about somebody else about depression. He was expressing a skepticism. I use myself as an example, and he's just like, sorry, that's bullshit. And I wanted to get out of the car. Like, I was like, what are you talking about?
There's this idea that if you have a problem, it's your fault. Yeah, if you're depressed, then, you know, you just got to get yourself out of bed and get motivated. That's on you. People don't realize that that's not easy for everyone, and sometimes people struggle to the point where, you know, they're actually really sick from it.
It's tragic. Like, people kill themselves because of depression. Like, people don't kill themselves because they're lazy. I actually lost a friend like a year ago to suicide. He never reached out to anybody, and who knows why? You know, it's hard to know why, but my guess is the stigma.
I think the more important thing is people with these illnesses need to not be afraid to talk about it. I've lost some friends because of what I've gone through. They're afraid to talk to me. They're afraid to get to know me more. And it's because there's such a stigma attached to having mental illness.
Science is the most convincing, and there is more and more science to just show how that whole thing works. So that's what I try to do when I talk to people, is I try to explain it in scientific terms, because when you just talk about what people go through and the experience, it doesn't do a lot to help. It almost can, like, prove their point.
I think a lot of that has to do with the media, and you'll see a movie and someone will have like 19 different personalities or something, and you just think that's what a mental illness is.
People need to feel like they can be more open about what they say with their close friends, especially. You know, people need to feel like they can talk about this and not feel judged. You know, I feel like that's the way you break stereotypes, by people actually getting to know the people that they're labeling. And people need to realize that they're more than just diagnoses.